It's the game show with Joshua Martin Corrales.
Whoa, welcome back! We're going into the T-Rex's Cove. Yeah, this is one of my favorite little sections of the game. Because one, look at this place. It's fucking awesome. There's lava everywhere. This lightning in the background really looks really cool. The dinosaur, as you know, it's a fucking dinosaur. It's a T-Rex. There's a little monkey riding on his back. It's super cool. This is only... Here's the other thing that I think is very interesting about this section. The music that plays here, it only plays here. And it's such a banging tune. Like... It's really good. It's my favorite. And it's also one of the things that, helped me figure out this neat little trick. You see, in this game, it's got layered audio. So, it might be like in Banjo-Kazooie, where the higher you go up into the sky, the more instruments fade out, right? But in this game, not really many functions like that. Like, there are a few areas where the music is dulled because you're, like, in the distance. But you can always manually remove the track by getting down. When you sneak up on monkeys, when you're in sneaking mode, they only play a percentage of the track. So let's listen. Nice bare bones hip hop beat. And you can do that with any song in the game. It's really fun to do, and very unfortunately, I may bring it up again. The information about that, these musics, these little musics. I'm just having so much trouble fucking. I'm just gonna. Am I gonna just... I might just give up. But yeah, unfortunately, this game, you can't get... I'm just gonna give up on him. I'll come back. Yeah, I'll come back. But, there's no way to get those, simplified versions of the songs. They released a soundtrack, and I've got the soundtrack. Like, listen, I got the soundtrack to Ape Escape. Don't tell it. I got all the secret soundtracks. I got all the best. But there's no way to get those versions that are simplified, which really is a shame, because a lot of them lend themselves very easily to either, making beats or just, like, jamming out to. They're very good. So, it's kind of a shame, but, a lot of things in games, like good sound, doesn't get put into CDs, and a lot of the times what ends up happening is people have to rip it. But in this case, because it just layers out part of the files, it's kind of difficult to get your hands on. And so, gonna end all my talking and praise in a plea. If you guys can get your hands, on the dulled down version of the Ape Escape songs, I will promise you, I will guarantee you one rap song based off of an Ape Escape beat. If you get me all of them, who knows? Maybe 3 rap songs, maybe a whole little EP, all about Ape Escape. I'll do it for you. That's how badly I want these. Is I'm willing to do work for free for them. I'm not that I don't do all my work for free, but yeah, that's how interested I am. The guy who did the music to this, Soichi Terada. I don't know a lot about him because that's kind of how it goes with game composers. But yeah, his work is really good. And remember when I was saying Ape Escape 2 is maybe not so number one. It's because Soichi Terada didn't do the music to that game. It feels very different because of that. And also it's got like a very 2001 aesthetic. I think this game might be... It's probably earlier than I said. I said 1999 in episode 1. Because I know so much. But in reality, this game probably came out earlier, because that game came out in like 2001, Ape Escape 2, for PS2, and it is very just like, huh? It's very different, and there's a lot of, I'm not going to get into it, because one point I'm probably going to play that game and complain the whole time about why it's not as good as this game, but that's the nature. So now he's telling us that we've gotten to a slightly later part of human history, and you know, we're gonna try and sneak up on monkeys. That's what he's telling me. He's giving me some advice. Pretty interesting about Japanese games. While I was looking at my Crash Bandicoot video, I found out that in the Japanese version of that game, one, there are level names that are very different, of course, right? But two, that Aku Aku gives you a hint to how to play each level. Like, there's advice they're giving you. I don't really understand why they need it, but apparently when they port Japanese games, sometimes they change things. It's like, better example than that. If you ever played Final Fantasy VII or Final Fantasy XII or Final Fantasy X or a lot of games made by Square Enix, what happens when they release the game in English is they add bosses. They add bosses like in Final Fantasy VII, I think Ultima Weapon wasn't in the original Japanese version. So it gets released in America, they add content, and then you know what they do? They re-release the game in Japanese with that additional content. They call it the international version. They did with Final Fantasy XII, it was the Zodiac International Edition, which, by the way, if you never heard it, haven't heard yet, they're going to be making a remake for PS4, which is good because that game is very enjoyable. We might play that because that's an RPG where you don't have to put too much interaction into it. Like, I wouldn't play other RPGs on this show. Well, I would, but I would be cutting out a lot of content because there'd be a lot of nonsense. But with that game, you're just walking around and you can auto battle pretty easily. So I might enjoy playing that game when the PS4 version comes out. But you know, when we really talk about international editions, what we think about is Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. Because Final Mix comes out in Japan, they have all these bonus scenes and costumes and weapons and a bunch of stuff. And so when we got that game, we finally got it in the HD remakes, people were like, wow, look at all the stuff they added for the HD remake. And I'm like, no, that was in the game. That was in the game when they made Final Mix way back. It's interesting why they do that. I wonder if it's just like content that was planned that wasn't finished in time, or you know, if it was just we feel like we should trump up this game a little more. People have been very responsive, and we think we can sell more. We think we can make a quick buck if we make a re-release of Kingdom Hearts with more bosses, and they were right, so it worked. It's kind of a shame we're not going to see a lot more of that. I'll get back to that because just 1 second here. Let me explain because I forget. He's like, oh, we're taking over the world, but he's got this guy Hiroki, Jake in the English version, Jakey, old Jakey Jakerson. Jakey Jakerson here got brainwashed by Spectre, and now he's, you know, doing evil stuff for him. And your friends are like, oh, I can't believe it. Why you, Jake? No! And meanwhile, you're traveling through time, not even in the scene. But to get back to my previous point, international editions of games, we're not going to be seeing those as much anymore because a lot of games now have simultaneous release, in both America and Japan. It's I think it's a good trend in general, just because it means that it cuts down on the porting of games, which I know is, to a lot of game developers, a huge hassle. It costs them a lot of money. But, ow, bees. At the same time, it does make me worry about the effects of speeding up the process of your game release. Like, by making the game... Got him! By making the game... By making the game release simultaneously, are they pushing the date ahead? And does that mean that there will be less content in the game? These are my concerns. I don't know if they're necessarily, like, true, but I feel like also a lot of work that used to go into the translation and localization of games, because the games are coming out quicker, might be sloppier work. I don't know if that's the case. Like I'm saying, you know, as usual, I'm not the expert, but these are my views. So the monkeys with black pants are dangerous. And I got that guy pretty easily. I had a pretty good plan. But he'll shoot you up. He'll shoot your butt up. So what way do we want to go? We're in the mysterious jungle here. Looking at these, like, what are these? Honestly. Hidey holes. They're just hidey holes. We're just going to go through here, I guess. I don't really have a plan for each level of this game because, just going to jump down. There's nothing down here. I guess this is a way you can go later. But, bounce? You know, you hop on mushrooms in games you expect to bounce. And if you don't bounce, you're like, huh? In reality, mushrooms are not that bouncy. I must warn you guys. Oh, let me put on my new gadget. Alright. So there's another monkey here. Literally, it says. Or no, it's just pointing the direction of monkeys. Anywho, as I was saying, you know, yeah, this, the whole localization thing, it worries me, but at the same time, it's pretty, you know, blah. So I caught 3 monkeys, finished 1 level, and made you guys listen to my inappropriately long rant on, oh my god, this UFO. Oh, it's coming at me! Next time on the game show, I get abducted by aliens!